Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another Facebook update for you. So, recently I reviewed the EK Nucleus 360mm AIO and I really liked it, to the point it was the best performing AIO 360 size I'd ever tested. So I was interested to get the 240 model in, see if the slightly cheaper version had decent performance as well, or for those of you that don't have a large enough case to accept a 360mm rad. But I also started hassling EK because I heard a rumour, told a rumour, saw some pictures of a white model that had been in the works for a little while, and they were just trying to fine-tune colours, because actually matching whites might sound simple, that it's just white, but there are so many different shades of white it can turn into an utter nightmare, especially when you put them in front of people like me that can see different shades a mile off. Anyway, I managed to get them I should say. I can't really think of the word I want to use, but let's just say I had to persuade them. There's a good word, persuade. I was thinking of much more aggressive words than that. I managed to persuade them to send me one of the very early kind of demo samples of the white model in today. Now, I do know that there are 360 models floating around. There are a couple. I managed to get one of, or the 240 model that was kicking about, and I'm hoping to get the white model later on. And I'll be completely honest with you, I want the white model because I want to use it. It's why I've been chasing it, is I actually liked the 360 one so much, I need a white one in my life. So 240mm in white, what's not to like? Pretty much the only difference that I can tell you between the aesthetics of the white and the black, it's got a silver bit at the top, which seems to be something fairly common with a lot of manufacturers. They do tie in silver with the white componentry. I wish they didn't, but if it was me, you can at least unscrew that silver plate on the side of the radiator and get your mod on. There's loads of easy things that you can do. If you wanted it white, you could use white vinyl. If you wanted it colour, you could use coloured vinyl. You could paint it, you could engrave it. Literally, you can get your artistic nature out and go to town with the side of the rad, just like you could the black one. But I do feel like this one deserves to kind of match in a little bit better. The fans are white with frosted blades. The RGB looks very nice. The colouring comes through lovely, exactly the same as it does around the pump. I've literally just got this running on auto mode, plugged into the 3-pin addressable RGB port on the motherboard. I've done nothing with it. I've just left it on cycle because really I would turn it on white or red, maybe red. I don't know. Definitely I'd have the EK red. Cabling was all white as well. The fans clip into each other so that when you have them together, you don't have multiple fan cables coming down to plug into the motherboard. So I've only actually got one RGB header and one fan header plugged into the board. I tell a lie actually, it's one fan header but there are two fans, but I did have to plug the pump in. So they connect together really nicely. It's such a well thought out little system, and that's including the fact that you've got the 4 pins for the PWM and then the 3 pins for the addressable RGB, one single block connector, looks like a motherboard 8-pin. It's just a really simplistic, well thought out way of going about it. Strange thing I found is a little end tank on the end of the rad is plastic, but the radiator itself, I don't know what metal it is, but it is metal. It's been powder coated white, looks really nice. Bosh. Move aside, let's talk about performance. It's actually quite weird because if you take the 1000 RPM results for the 360, that is exactly how the near enough, it's how the 1500 RPM results perform on this. It is the best 240mm AIO that I have tested at its maximum RPM. It does trade blows with the most recent Asus one that I've done that you can see in the graph. I forget the name, it was the something 3, ROG Ryu 3. When you get down to 1000 RPM and 600 RPM, the Asus does just take the lead if you have the pump at maximum. But I will say that the pump on that AIO is noisy. You wouldn't want it to run at maximum. If you turn it down to it's not intrusive, then the EK wins. The one thing I will say about the EK is I did just run the pump at maximum and you can barely hear it. If you want to sit there and focus, you can just about pick it out. But in the grand scheme of things, stood here now, the only thing I can hear is that rear fan. And I can just pick up the pump if I really concentrate. By the time I'm talking, or you've got some music or the radio on, watching a video or anything like that, you can't hear it. With the Asus, I can go literally across the room with the radio on and I can still hear the pump. And if it wasn't for the fact I tested 2 different AIOs at the exact same time, I would have thought something wasn't right with it. So, very good performance. Kind of performed in the graph similarly to the 360 when comparing to other 240mm AIOs. But the thing that I really like about it is the simplistic nature of the cables. Still, the simplistic nature of controlling the fans. Still, because you don't have to install anything, you can use your motherboard fan stuff to be able to do it. But let's face facts, they are getting brave and bringing white stuff out, and that's the whole reason why I was chasing them in the first place. So now I've seen this, my critical question is, Dave, when can I please have the 360 version? Because I would very, very much like an AIO upgrade. Thank you very much. But to recap, this isn't a retail product yet, but it really isn't that far off. I know sometimes with EK, I've seen in the comments that you guys have been saying, oh, it takes ages, it takes months. These are imminent. So we're talking, hopefully, just a matter of weeks. And by the time that you see me with a 360mm version, that's going to be the moment that they're pretty much going to be on the EK store, because that's where they're going to go first, and then they'll trickle out and you'll be able to find them at places like Overclockers and Scan. But there we go. White is definitely coming. It's good news. Let's throw a party. Dave wants a beer, but we're going to need to give him a wheelchair because he can't walk at the moment. He's just lazy. Anyway, this is Tiny Tom Logan. Quite excited because I get to play with unreleased white products, and that really does make me happy. The passion for the hardware is still there. And I'm a poet and I didn't know it.